Did you know that 99% of your competition on LinkedIn isn't even trying? Out of 260 million monthly users, only 3 million post content every week. So while everyone else is scrolling and consuming, you have a massive opportunity to stand out simply by showing up consistently. The problem is, most consultants who try to post regularly will burn out within 2 weeks. So how do the 1% do it? And more importantly, how can you join them without content creation taking over your life? So in this video, I'm going to show you a system to help you remain consistent with your content. Hey, it's Doreen, and I have to admit that I used to be part of that 99%. Of course. I would start strong and post every day for about a week, but I couldn't figure out how to stay consistent while still actively serving my clients. Then I learned about what the 1% do differently. I'm going to break down why most consultants fail at content consistency, what it's actually costing your business, and the batch creation system that changed everything for me. Let's go. I didn't make this up. Let's start with the data. Research shows that only 3 million LinkedIn users share content weekly out of the 260 million monthly active users, and that's 1% by the numbers I had. This pattern shows up not just on LinkedIn, but on all social media platforms. But it's especially pronounced on LinkedIn, where professionals hesitate to share publicly. They don't know who's watching, maybe employer, their boss. Think about your own social media habits for a second. How many posts do you read versus how many you actually publish? And if you're like most coaches and consultants, you probably scroll through dozens of posts each week, but only share something once a month, if that. In other words, you're probably a lurker. But while 99% of people are scrolling, consuming, and disappearing into the feed, you have the opportunity to show up when others don't. And here's the kicker. 80% of B2B leads generated on social media come from LinkedIn. So if you're not posting, you are literally invisible to 80% of your potential leads. Let me give you an example. Career coach Daria Gangwani, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, built over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn by consistently sharing straightforward career advice. She didn't have some secret formula. She just posted encouraging content and relatable stories that made instant connections with her audience. Her consistent posting schedule helped her transform over 10,000 careers through her coaching practice. And that, my friend, is the power of being in the 1%. Now let's talk about how consistency compounds over time. Your content works like compound interest in a bank. Your first post might reach 200 people. Your 10th post reaches those same 200 people, plus new connections you've made. And by post 50, your network has expanded. Past posts are still generating conversations. And the LinkedIn algorithm is rewarding your consistency by showing your content to more people. Creators who post at least once per week for 20 weeks or more achieve engagement rates that are 4.5 times higher per post compared to those who post consistently. Research examining over 100,000 social media users found that the most consistent posters receive 5 times more engagement, likes, shares, comments per post than users who posted inconsistently. Think about what that means for your business. Imagine 5 times more people seeing your expertise, 5 times more conversations, and 5 more opportunities to land clients. The algorithm literally rewards this behavior by pattern recognition. When you show up consistently, LinkedIn says, okay, this person is creating content regularly, so let's show their content to more people. But when you disappear for weeks, months, or more, the algorithm forgets about you. And each time this happens, you have to start from scratch, every time. So this logic seems kind of obvious. So then why do 99% of consultants and coaches fail at being consistent with their content? I'll talk about the first barrier, which I also talked about in this video, which is the curse of knowledge. You've spent years building your expertise. Maybe you have certifications, you've worked with dozens or hundreds of clients, and you've solved complex problems. Well, this expertise becomes a trap. Because now you sit down to write a post and you think, everybody already knows this. This isn't profound enough to share. What if my peers think this is too basic? It's like you're waiting for some groundbreaking insight to come to you. But you know what? Your audience doesn't need groundbreaking. They just need information that's useful. So, that simple framework you use with every single client, Your audience hasn't heard it. That basic mistake you see prospects make over and over again, it's worth sharing. Listen, I learned this the hard way. I used to agonize over every post, thinking it had to be some revolutionary insight. And you know what happened? Because of that mindset that I had, I barely ever posted anything because nothing felt like it was good enough. Then I started sharing the obvious stuff, the frameworks I use daily, the common mistakes I see, the simple advice I give in every discovery call. And guess what? My engagement tripled. Not because the content was more sophisticated or revolutionary, but because it was actually useful to the people that needed to hear it or read it. Remember, what's obvious to you is revelatory to your ideal client. They're not at your level yet, and that's why they need you. The second barrier that I know everybody watching this will agree with is time scarcity. You're spending all your time serving current clients, which leaves no time for you to market and attract new clients. You're honoring your current commitments to your clients, but you're also starving your pipeline, which is dishonoring to yourself. This is the consultants, coaches, solopreneurs dilemma. You're basically so busy building today's revenue that you're not building tomorrow's. Studies show that business professionals struggle with time allocation, particularly around non-billable tasks like content creation. But the time always exists. You just have to make time for it. We tell ourselves we don't have time, but what we really mean is we haven't made it a priority. And that's okay if you're being honest with yourself. The third barrier is fear. False evidence appearing real. What will other consultants and colleagues in your field think? What if a prospect sees your post and thinks it's basic? What if you're wrong about something? These are the kinds of fears that paralyze professionals and keep them from posting regularly. And I know this for a fact because I felt it too. And I feel it every time I upload a video here on YouTube too. But you know what? Your peers are not your target audience, and that's what matters. Who cares what they think? The people who need your help, like the mid-career professionals that are struggling with the exact problem that you solve, the executives who don't have your expertise, they're not judging you. They're actually grateful that someone explained it in a way they can understand. So stop optimizing for peer approval and start optimizing for client attraction. The fourth barrier I'll talk about is a lack of a clear content strategy. I'm always preaching about content strategy on this channel, and it's for a good reason. You need it. Let's say you sit down to write a post and you stare at a blank screen. What should you talk about? Who are you even writing for? Well, if you don't know the answers to those questions, it's a problem. Because without a clear content strategy, every post becomes an existential crisis. And I call this blank page paralysis. You probably really know it as writer's block. And here's a stat that proves that it's not just you and me. 2025 Content Marketing Institute study found that 58% of B2B marketers rate their content strategy as merely to moderately effective, with nearly half saying their strategy struggles because they lack clear goals. So if you feel lost, you're in the majority. But the solution is simpler than you might think. You need to set up content pillars, which are 3 to 5 topics that mirror the problems you solve for clients. So if you're a sales coach, for example, your pillars might be prospecting, objection handling, closing techniques, and sales mindset. If you're a productivity consultant, then maybe your pillars would be time management, focus strategies, systems thinking, and leadership efficiency. So start by listing the 5 most common problems that your clients hire you to solve. Those should be your content pillars. Every post should fit into one of those buckets. It's a framework that eliminates the "what should I post about" paralysis, because you always have 5 clear options. No more days of staring at blank screens, wondering what the universe wants you to say today. Now let's talk about what inconsistent posting does to your business, because this is where it gets real. This is why you should care about your content strategy. Inconsistent posting costs you real money and real opportunities. First, irregular posting confuses your audience about your expertise. Imagine you're hiring a fitness coach who posts workout tips for 2 weeks, then disappears for a month, and then returns with nutrition advice, vanishes again, and then suddenly shares posts about mindfulness. That will confuse your audience and make them wonder what you actually do. And if they can't figure out what you're about, they'll just move on. Second, content equals inbound opportunities. It's simple math. If each post reaches 500 people and generates 1 meaningful conversation, then posting once a month should give you 12 conversations per year. Posting 3 times per month should give you 156 conversations at that same rate. Which of these scenarios do you think will build a better business? And here's what's even worse. When you disappear for long periods of time, you lose trust and credibility with your target audience. Trust requires consistency. When you post regularly for a few weeks and then you disappear, your audience questions your reliability. What if you can't be trusted? I mean, if you can't maintain a simple posting schedule and be available and be seen, then how will you handle their complex business challenges? That's a fair question. Consistency, though, signals professionalism, while inconsistency signals chaos. Please forgive me for my throat. I've been trying to get rid of this mess for 9 days and nothing's working. Now let me give you a more tangible example. I'm going to paint a picture for you of what this really looks like. Imagine that you're a management consultant and you track your pipeline for 18 months. During months when you post 8 or more times, you average 4.2 qualified inbound leads. During months when you post less than 3 times, that number drops to 0.7 leads. That's a 6-time difference based solely on posting frequency. Now multiply that over a year. The consistent months generate 50 leads or more, but the inconsistent months only generate about 8. So if your close rate is 25%, that's the difference between 12 new clients and 2 new clients. And if your average project is $10,000, that's $120,000 in revenue versus $20,000. A $100,000 difference that just comes down to showing up consistently on the platform. Here's what makes this even more important. You're not just losing the clients that would have reached out, you're losing their referrals too. You're losing the compound effect of a growing audience. So every time you disappear and come back to restart, you're starting from 0. All right, so I know you get it by now. You understand the opportunity cost of not posting consistently. The question is, how do you actually stay consistent with your content without content creation taking over your whole life? The answer, my friends, is batch creation. I mean, it's one answer. You could also check out this video about outsourcing. Stop trying to create content every day. It's the mistake that everyone makes. Instead, batch creation means sitting down once or twice a month to create weeks of content at once. Doing this will reduce your decision fatigue about what should I post, and it will improve your quality when you're using content pillars, not squeezing posts in between client calls. Content batching saves time and mental energy by allowing you to set aside dedicated blocks of time to create content instead of spending hours every day brainstorming and producing individual pieces. So here's what this looks like in practice. Dedicate, say, every second Friday afternoon for content creation. In 3 hours, you can produce 15 to 20 posts, especially if you use AI. Then go ahead and schedule those posts to publish throughout the month. You could do this on LinkedIn with their native platform. You're basically setting it and kind of forgetting it for the meantime until it actually posts. You'll get a reminder, and then you'll rarely have to think about content between those sessions. Now, I could be reading from a script like, this is what you should do, but I don't do it. But this isn't theory for me. This is one of the ways that I've maintained my posting schedule. I've been posting on YouTube. Right now it's October 2025. I started this channel in April of 2025, and I've not missed 1 week. I've been through all kinds of things in my personal life, and guess what? I just keep coming. I just keep going. It's a regular part of my monthly routine, just like paying bills, but more enjoyable. Now let's walk through this batch creation process step by step. First, you're going to choose 1 day per month as your content creation day, whether it's the second Friday or whatever works for you. Could be a weekend, doesn't matter. And for that day, you clear out any other commitments on your calendar. You want to treat this like a non-negotiable, like a client appointment, because that's how important it is. Go to a coffee shop or a bookstore or a library study room, somewhere away from the usual distractions. Then bring your content pillar list and a simple template and spend a few hours creating. Here's how you would generate 30 days of content in one batch creation session. You list your 5 content pillars across the top of the page. Then under each pillar, you'd write 3 common client questions. That's 15 post ideas right there. Now add 3 mistakes you see prospects making. Now you have 30 ideas. This exercise will take you just a couple of hours to get a month's worth of content. Here's another variation. Review your client sessions from the past month. You should be recording them or taking notes. Then, pinpoint one lesson from each session and use those insights to create your next month's worth of content. When you do this, it's gold because you're pulling from actual client situations from real people. And that means your content is authentic and proven. You're sharing solutions that actually worked and that your audience needs. Now, if you hate writing, and I'm sorry, because I love it, but if you hate writing, here's your hack. Use text to speech. Use your phone. Use Google Docs. You can also build it into your morning routine, like say you take a morning walk every day. You could record your voice memos during your morning routine or when you have downtime or ideas spark up. Speak about one topic for each recording, import the audio to a transcription app like Otter.ai, which I'm an affiliate of, and edit the transcript into 3 or 4 posts. That's a week's content that you can make during your daily routine. You're welcome. By the way, before I continue, if it's noisy, I'm sorry. I'm in Medellin, Colombia, and if you don't know, it's very noisy. Now let's talk about how you can use templates and frameworks to maintain quality while increasing speed. Templates give your content structure without limiting your creativity. You could create 3 to 5 post templates and cycle through them. So one template might be problem, insight, solution. Another one could be 3 mistakes your target audience makes with topic. Here's a sample schedule. Monday posts could use your client win story template. Wednesday posts could use your common objection breakdown template. And Friday posts could follow a tactical tip format. Using different templates and structures like this help you create content faster while keeping your content varied. You don't have to write from scratch every time. That takes a long time. You're filling in a proven framework. I absolutely love templates because they spark ideas in a way that a blank page never could. The key is having these templates ready before your batch creation day. Don't show up to your content session and try to figure out your system because that's wasting creative energy. Set up your templates once and then batch every session, just plugging in new content for your proven frameworks. The analogy that I'll use here is that it's like following a recipe without trying to invent a new dish every time you cook. And here's the thing about templates. They actually increase your creativity rather than limiting it. When you have structure, you can focus on insights and examples instead of worrying about the format. So remember earlier when I talked about different barriers like fear? There are many psychological barriers you have to get through. Psychology is one of the reasons why those 99% fail at consistency. Your biggest content barrier isn't time or skill. It's that voice in your head telling you that your content isn't good enough. So let's reframe that. When you think, no one cares about this, you're actually wrong. That kind of thought reflects fear, not reality. Reframe your thinking by saying, some people will find this valuable, and I'm sharing it for them, not for everyone. I'm not posting this content for everyone. Everyone is not my audience. Some people will find this helpful, and I'm sharing it for them. You're not trying to go viral. You're not trying to impress everyone. All you're doing is trying to help a specific ideal client. Now here's another mindset shift. Separate your self-worth from post-performance metrics. A post with 5 likes isn't necessarily a failure. A post with 500 likes isn't necessarily a success. The only metrics that matter for your business are not likes, comments, and shares. They're business conversations that you've started and clients that you've acquired. Let's say you only got 8 likes on a post, but 3 of those likes led to DM conversations. And then one of those DMs led to a $45,000 coaching contract. Would you trade that low-performing post with only a few likes for a viral post that gives you no leads? I think not. Give me that $45,000. All right, the final thing I'll say about mindset. When you're doing that batch content creation situation, don't just look at your metrics for a few days or a week and then give up because you don't like the numbers you're seeing. You want to commit to 90 days of consistent posting before you evaluate whether content works for your business. 90 days is a long enough time frame to allow the algorithm to recognize your consistency, your audience to grow, and compound effects to materialize. All right, let me give you an example to show you how this looks in practice. Imagine that you want to quit after posting consistently for 6 weeks because you have minimal engagement, but you commit to the 90 days anyway. At day 85, a Fortune 500 company executive who's been silently following your content and lurking in the background reaches out to you in a DM. And then you get a contract with that person that results in over 6 figures of income. But if you had quit at day 45, that would have cost you that opportunity. This is an example, but it happens all the time. It's real. They're building trust in you slowly. They're waiting for the right moment to reach out. They're trying to learn more about you and your business, waiting for just the right moment to reach out. If you disappear, they'll forget about you. The 90-day commitment isn't an arbitrary number. It's based on how trust actually builds in professional relationships. It's rare to get a quick win. Sustainable growth takes time. Now, after the 90 days is over, if you're still not seeing results, now you have enough data to analyze and see where you need to make changes. Maybe your content pillars need refining. Maybe your ideal client isn't on LinkedIn. Or maybe your posting times are off. But you won't know until you give it some time and get consistent data. Now, I hinted at AI a little earlier, but I want to give you some actual tools by name that you can use for these strategies. The right tools will remove friction from content creation and keep it from being another barrier. First, you can use a scheduling platform if you're not using LinkedIn, something like Buffer or Hootsuite. This allows you to create content once and then schedule it for optimal posting times. The separation between creation and publishing reduces daily content stress. Second, that AI assistance I mentioned, with a nuance. Most marketers now use generative AI for content creation, but 55% of consumers say they're more likely to trust brands that are committed to publishing human-created content. So, use AI as a starting point, not as a replacement. Generate 5 topic ideas with AI. Pick one, record a voice memo with your perspective, then use AI again to help you structure your thoughts. This is going to help speed up your content creation while keeping your authentic voice. Third, use note-taking apps like Notion, Evernote, or Apple Notes to capture content ideas throughout your week, whenever they come to you. Because if you have a great idea and you don't put it somewhere, it's gone. Keep a voice memo folder labeled something like content ideas. And then, whenever you have an insight during client work or you read something interesting, record a quick 20 or 30-second note. Then, when you do your batch session, you can go back to these notes to give you endless content ideas. And finally, you can use a CRM or a database in Notion, which is my preference, or just simply use your good old spreadsheet. Create columns for the date, your topic, the content pillar it falls under, status of the content, engagement metrics, and business outcomes. And review it every month to identify patterns about which content types drive your business results versus empty engagement. This is the way you'll get smarter about your content strategy and be able to refine it over time. Now for your action plan. All right, you're still here, you're motivated, good. Thank you for staying with me. Now I'm going to tell you how to put this into practice. Define your 5 content pillars based on your client's problems. Do this before your next batch creation day. Block your first batch creation day on your calendar. Make it like 1 or 2 weeks from now so that you have time to prepare, but not procrastinate. Create 3 post templates you can rotate through, and keep them simple. Commit to posting at least 2 times a week for 90 days. Not daily, not whenever you feel inspired, because that's how we disappear. At least 2 times a week, scheduled in advance. Do 2 weeks, that's like 24 posts, and it's totally manageable. All right, I'm going to wrap this up with our 4 main takeaways. You have a massive opportunity because 99% of your competition on LinkedIn isn't even trying. Inconsistent content costs you real money through lost pipeline, confused audiences, and algorithmic penalties. Batch creation is your solution. Spend 3 hours once or twice a month instead of stressing about daily posts. Then commit to 90 days before judging the results. Look, the consultants and coaches that are winning in today's market aren't necessarily smarter or better or more talented than you are. They're just simply more consistent and probably have a system and a strategy. So join the 1%. Your future clients are already waiting for you on LinkedIn. They're scrolling right now looking for someone who could solve their problem. So be the one who shows up. Thanks for watching this video to the end. Now, go block that batch creation session on your calendar right now. And watch these videos next.